Hello and welcome to Women Achievers. This is a program that chronicles the life of women achievers starting from their young age as a girl child and how they finally become boss lady. But today we have more than a boss lady in the house. She's ace broadcaster, one of the first generation of broadcasters in Nigeria. You can't count 2 or 3 before you count her. And she's ageless. She was a former beauty queen also. Please welcome Madam Julie Coker to the program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So tell us about you growing up in Nigeria. What was Nigeria like?
It's very difficult to put that.
It's been a long time.
It's been such a long time.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually born in Lagos, but everybody thinks I was born in Lagos because I speak Yoruba fluently. I was born in a little village. And every time I say that to my children or my adopted children, they always start with the song, I was born by a river in a little village, not in a little town this time. And then my mother and I came to Lagos when I was barely 18 months old.
Okay.
So we lived in this area. Things were very active then. Soldiers used to march up and down because it was close to the barracks.
Okay.
And so I grew up singing the songs because that was just the end of the World War. And they were celebrating and they used to sing, Ale Soldier. So I used to sing that song even before I was 2.
Oh my God.
So some of my aunties called me Day Day.
Oh really?
I didn't even know my name.
That became your brand.
It was my brand. And then I went to St. Mary's Convent School when I was 6. My name was Juliana. And the nun said, no, my name was Julie.
Okay.
They changed it to Juliana. So all my classmates called me Juliana. When I became a Catholic, I had to adopt Mary. I changed it later to Marie. So Juliana, Marie, because I was born after sets of twins in an Ichekiri land where they used to kill twins, they used to get rid of them, and a mother has to have a child, girl child, to be purified.
Wow.
So my Ichekiri name is Mogboruko.
All right, tell us about your working experience and how you came to be in television.
That's another miracle. That's
yes,
another long story.
Tell us about the miracle.
I was just looking for work, and from nowhere, a friend of mine said, well, whilst we're waiting to go to speak to the dentist who needed an assistant, we were passing through the Daily Times office. We picked up the forms, filled the forms, our names, both of us went for the competition. So my name was Marie Juliana. One of the studio cameramen knew me because he was a cameraman. Okay. So there we were for the competition organized by the Daily Times. And when I got there, the woman editor then was Teresa Ogumbi. And she said, well, I think if you're going to win this competition, you'll have to remove that head tie you have on your head.
You had a head tie?
I tied one small head tie on my head.
Even as a young lady.
And my friend, both of us had on, identical outfits. We both wanted to come out, like proper warrior girls.
Looking like twins.
And maybe because I took off my head tie and they had a hairdresser somewhere. She had trained in England, in America or somewhere. So I came out looking different from the image that I entered the competition with. There you are, one, and then the story didn't just stop there. I had to go back home to Warri because we didn't get the job.
Oh.
Then one day my auntie came and said, well, you won the Miss Western Nigeria competition. And you're just sitting at home here in Warri. I said, well, I'm trying to get a job in Kingsway stores.
Okay.
And she said, no, you're not stopping here. Let's get back to where you won the beauty contest. And it was a very kind of prophetic thing. Because when I got there, my uncle was one of the ministers, Justice Odaro. He said, yes, they're about to open the TV station. I said, what's that? Never heard of it. His wife took me to one of the big departmental stores.
Okay.
I said, you know, we saw the monitors blinking. I said, that's where you're going to be working. In that little box. Even if I dreamt of being one of the girls that danced with Ogunde on the stage, I don't think it's in that box that they dance. So anyway, he put me in the car, drove to the Ministry of Information to look for Chief Tony Enahoro, who was actually the chairman at the Miss Western Nigeria competition. Maybe someone had mentioned my name when they were looking for presenters or people to work.
Yes.
And they said, oh, someone won the Miss Western Nigeria. But where is she? And I disappeared into thin air. Anyway, he didn't get back, but Justice Odaro took me himself to the studios.
Okay.
And I met a lot of other people. Anike Agbaje Williams was already there. She had been recruited from the radio,
Okay.
Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC, then, which later changed to FRCN. Something is going smoothly, and then all of a sudden, someone comes and turns it around.
Upside down, yeah. Turn it
I
around.
pray not upside down, inside out, but we're still here. I am still here with so many names, so many nomenclatures, so many lives,
Yeah,
and I still keep prodding along like the great river Mississippi.
So how was your television career from then on?
Very exciting. We were groomed by the technical partners.
So you just went into newscasting like that? You were trained
Not-
on the job?
You know, like many people think that television is the kind of male-dominated business. Because there was only me in the studio, you know, I would be sitting in one corner and all the men would be there waiting to take their turns to do one thing or the other. And all I had to do was identify the station and sit back.
Wow. You are
was
their
easy
opening.
going,
You
yes.
are their opening montage.
Our call signal was WNTV first in Africa.
Okay.
That's all I had to say. And I practiced it so many times. So when you come into
Seriously?
broadcasting, you have to, with all humility, you take it like a vocation.
Yeah.
That had been the motivating factor.
So you learn and you relearn.
So you learn and you relearn. But people think you can just come crash, bang, bang.
I'm telling you. So how would you compare broadcasting in those days to now?
I try not to.
Well, you
Like
have
I was
to.
telling some of the girls the other day when they were celebrating my 65 years in the media, because I bring all my experience along. Like my son said, long story,
Yes.
65 years from the day I appeared in the newspapers.
Yes.
So already in the limelight, my book carries the same title, Life in the Limelight. Broadcasting has helped this country and put this country together. Without broadcasters, Nigeria would not be in existence.
Wow. Why did you say
But
that?
maybe we don't really realize the depth of the contributions that we have made over the years. Governments may be falling apart, and it takes only one voice, Michael Olumide, Kolade, for them to come on camera, Segun Olusola, and say something, and everybody would listen.
True.
Because they had the right attitude. They had that background of humility in spite of the fact that they know it all.
And
they
diplomacy
see it
too.
all coming
Yes.
and glue it together. I think we're still there, although I'm not in the running anymore. Too old to count.
Behind every successful woman, there is a man.
Which one? Name one.
Behind every successful one, there must be somebody, the love of your life, somebody that motivated you and was always gave you wings to fly. Tell us about that special
Well,
person.
My first husband was A.G. Yondakolo. He was a diplomat
Okay.
and he spoke with an English accent.
Oh, I bet he cut sis too.
one of this old, I mean, not an old man, of course, but, you know, from the old school.
Okay.
Deep thinker. He was Ayovex in Punch and later Vanguard.
That was his...
Yes, Ayovex.
Okay.
His name was Ayola Gladstone, and a Chekri man with a Yoruba name. So sort of, you know, so I learned from him, and we were close. And, well, we got married according to native law and custom. I had 2 children for him, blah, blah, one in Nigeria, one in England. My son, who also died later, when he died, a friend of mine said, "You mean with all that English in his head, he's dead?" That was the person that came to me because the way he spoke like his father.
No.
So I learned from him. And when I came from Ibadan, from WNTV, first in Africa, which was the 5th station in the world.
Okay.
Television started in America, to Britain, then to Germany and Australia. Nigeria came 5th.
Wow.
The whole world. We had television before France. So where should we be right now in the realm of things?
Yes.
Let's face it. It's not, I'm not sad about it, but I like people to listen and see whether we can learn something from all that. If God had created the children of Israel, they went here, there, and yonder. They were the chosen race. So we Nigerians had the chosen race. So if we had scattered all over the world, we should find our way back home and build our country again together.
All right, we're going to a short break. Let me put you on pause, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. It's still Women Achievers, and on the hot seat, oh sorry, not so hot, is Madam Julie Coker. And she's been giving us very historic moments in Nigerian television and the evolution of broadcasting in Nigeria. What was your major highlight in your television career? What was the biggest moment for you, and what transpired?
Well, the day I was able to read the news, because we're just presenters.
Okay. So it was your aha moment when you casted the news.
That's right. So, but then I was waiting for the newscaster. I was head of presentation and the call officer. And I waited, I saw him, and then he disappeared. I won't mention his name, the newscaster. I went back to the studio again. Somebody came running and said, "There's no newscaster." I said, "Who's going to read the news?" So I just took the script and went on. First time a female newscaster on the news. They were already reading the news. Women were reading the news when I went to America. So I didn't see why we kept to the British system.
Okay.
I refused to allow women to read the news.
Okay, so looking back in hindsight, what is this thing that you regret or wished you had done?
That I had done?
Yes.
Working in my career, I think I did most of the things that I was expected to do. I didn't fall out of step with all the, except when I started, Mike and I started dating.
Okay. That's when you rocked the boat.
Mike was married, and they knew that I had gone through my own experience, and then someone in the studio said, well, if a woman is pregnant and she's not answering Mrs. Something, she should not be on TV or talking, presenting women or children's program. And it hit the headlines.
Wow.
And then I was sent on suspension, and then hell let loose. So after they had thrown stones at me, and Jesus said, anyone who has not committed any sin, let him cast the first stone.
Nobody could cast
any stone at that point. Unfortunately, Richard was a sickler.
Okay.
And then he died 18 years ago. Oh. So we formed the Richard Coker Foundation, actually the Richard Coker Nahoro Foundation.
Okay.
So right now, we're requesting that black people, Black Lives Matter, but black blood can also save lives. Black people don't donate blood. They don't want to get involved in things like that. So
I think there's more awareness on that now. Okay, that's a campaign.
We've been working at it for a long time.
Okay, that's what the foundation
Not only
does.
in Nigeria, not only that.
Okay.
Since we set up the Richard Coker Foundation, we, apart from just creating awareness, we try to reach out to people whenever people are kind to us.
Okay.
We reach out to people, scholarship for children. Some children can't even afford to buy shoes in some areas.
Yeah.
So we try to identify such children. And
good.
even though parents don't agree that their children need blood, so you don't ask them to go and ask their family to go and donate blood, we also pay for all those things in advance through the Genotype Foundation.
So there's this gender-based violence. There's an upsurge in gender-based violence lately. What advice can you give to the victims or the government,
Well,
to cope
to
this
government or
head?
to people or to
the-
women
to
or to
all of us.
families?
We just need
I
to
think-
keep the conversation. It's so terrible. And women are rising up to the challenge. Domestic violence here and there. Some of them kill their husband.
I think we have to talk to our women more,
Okay.
because I mean, of course, men would always like to be men, and women should learn to be women. You can't be a woman. It doesn't matter. I mean, there are cases in America, for instance, about 52 cases of Nigerian men gunning down their wives or killing them in cold blood.
Sure.
And when you look at the cases, you find that sometimes the men are not really at fault. But what can you do? Will they listen? Will the women listen? Once the marriage is not working, that's not of anyone's making. It's only the two that were joined together to become one that want to.
But in addition to the domestic violence,
So there won't be any violence
It's true. It cups it.
once you make sure that everybody goes their own way. Then, but if you are still together, you say, he's my husband, I must have him at all costs. Then the man is going to fight back.
And there's also
And
this-
women are very good at scratching men's faces, so
There's this issue of the sexual molestation of minors too. It's part of the matter.
that is the saddest thing about it. I didn't
Yes.
want to talk about it. But we have to talk about it.
We
have
keep
to
brushing
talk
it
about it.
aside. We keep pushing it under the carpet will not help us.
No, we have to monitor the men.
Yes. And what is the remote cause? Where is
You
it coming
have to.
from?
You have to monitor the men.
I don't understand.
Then at the end of it, they say it's the devil. You have to make sure that that devil is kept in check.
I think the punishment does not outweigh the crime in Nigeria.
Nobody gets any punishment for any crime in Nigeria. Because the men who are going to administer all those things that we're talking about can see themselves in the culprit. So at the end of the day, they let the man go. They say, what has he done? I beg, let him go. The woman
Molest a
will
child?
too much.
Molest the child?
Yes. The policemen would arrest him and then they will release him. Why do you think they do that? Because they feel that women are always making a lot of noise about things that are unnecessary.
Children sexually molest a child. of
Because
2
they
years,
themselves
3 years
are
old.
potential.
Molesters.
That's what you didn't get that. Maybe I didn't put it right. Maybe I didn't put it in the kind of English that you understand. I'm still speaking old English. They are
Oh my
potential molesters.
It's a crime that has been around forever.
It has been around. It's not a crime. In some quarters, in some cultures, it's not a crime. I was almost married off when I was 13. My auntie said, why is she going to school? She's an only child. She should go and get married. Then she got the man. She took the bride price from the man. Unknowing to us, though, they led me there. When I got there, I was sitting waiting. I thought maybe they were going to ask for the man to give me money to pay school fees in Sapele. So one of my aunties got wind of my grandmother's last child, and she ran quickly there and yanked me off the place. I thought I was waiting. The man was having a meeting. He was talking, big rich man. I was 13.
Wow.
So I almost fell victim to that. I there's various stories that still abound in society. Some of the women that are now in England, holding their own and writing stories, Nigerian women,
Yes.
particularly Igbo women, who were married off like that at very tender age. And the man even took them to England to study, say, take this small girl, go.
Is that not the story of this woman that became a writer?
Yes, I know who you're talking about, Chata.
Yes.
We all read her story,
Yes,
the story of her life. That was how it all started.
Even burnt her first manuscript, I was told.
Source
So
of
we should make
whatever.
the punishment heavier, is what you're
Women should be up in arms.
Okay.
Women lawyers and police women, if they can help us. All the men think omnidirectional. They're always thinking of the same thing. They even see the girl, they say, this small girl. Didn't you see the story?
Oh, that this one don't grow.
Of somebody, the child was missing, and when he eventually found the girl, he kept the girl in his custody, in his home. A girl that was missing. Say, the parents are missing her, so they don't know she is here.
The audacity.
And he might still even get away with that crime. So from your program, from every podium, any channel that we can assist to keep young girls. And sometimes, the girls, maybe the man is giving her something that she lacks at home, feels attracted to the man eventually.
There's a seduction, there's
a
enticement.
Yes. So we have to watch out for those signs. I do.
We don't know what has amplified it. Maybe it's the hardship in the society.
Maybe. But it's not a child that you are going to use as your consoler or your comforter.
All right, ma. On a final note, your advice to the girl child, because this generation, there seems to be a microwave generation. They're in a hurry.
It's still in the hand of the mother.
Okay.
We take children, things that we want to do for granted.
Yeah.
You see a child on Sunday in church overdressed, even with makeup. And the mother thinks that is a way to show love to that child. So it's like the mother is even grooming the child ready for all that kind. Without really thinking. We have to think deep. We have to pray over such things. There are certain prayer points that you make and people will say, I reject it. We really have to monitor children at every point.
Not just the girl
every
child.
turn. Not just every child. Child that is in school. Even 6-month-old babies. You have to watch. But, we give them long hair, unnatural. They spend money to make sure that the child looks better than the next child. And you feed them with such ideas all the time. You are my princess. You are the one that will look better than the other one in school.
And even on the internet.
Yes, your shoes must be higher. Children are wearing high-heeled shoes
To school.
and going about, looking like adults. All those things send out the wrong signals. And a child must not be allowed to handle a telephone until a certain age. Government has to legislate about that as well. We also not only to, follow up on all this affirmative, whatever. We also have to protect the girl. I saw the Minister for Women Affairs, Mrs. Pauline Talent, signing an agreement about this whole idea of, girl child marriage and all that. Yeah, they did that a few days ago, but how are they going to enforce it? She on her own may be very good at working on those things, but she has to bring people together to assist in making sure that it actually works.
Wow. Thank you very much for your time, man. We've learned so much from this interview. It's a master class. Thank you for coming on to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's been quite a journey. The Chronicle of a Girl Child to Boss Lady. Now this is Grand Boss lady. Well, that's how far we come on Women Achievers today. Until I see you again next week when we bring you another influential woman achiever on the program. My name is Maiwa Oluwabi. Thank you for watching.